Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Sammy. On my last video, I did a update on all the changes that were coming with patch G. I referred to as patch G and G representing good because it was a good patch. And in that video, I got a lot of comments. A lot of comments of some people saying too little, too late. I'm never coming back. I got a ton of comments. You know what? I'm going to be playing a wait and see kind of game. Still not good enough for me. Those were kind of the sentiments of the comments that I got in that video. And I have been dying to get back into Path of Exile 2. I took a little break just because I had done everything that I think I needed to get done. And to be honest with you, I kind of hit a wall. And yeah, part of that was the frustration with everything we know that's wrong with the game as far as I'm concerned. But I have gone back since patch G, and a little bit of it is because of I want to do some research on how much the game has changed with patch G. And I have to say, I'm only level 16 or 17, so I'm starting to do hardcore runs, and I'm in Act 2. And I have to say, sorry, there's a noticeably big difference with the loot. It's very noticeable. The fact that now bosses are dropping rares, I don't know, guys. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I was still in Act 1, and I literally had every item was a rare. I think I was only missing my gloves, where it was not a rare item. Every other item in my inventory, on my character, sorry, was rare, which is, I just don't remember that experience in previous playthroughs, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. So there's a noticeable difference with this patch, and I have to say, even though there are a ton of other problems with this game, this little one patch, by improving the loot, has just, I don't know, the game feels different already. Now, again, I know there's a lot of things that still need to be addressed, but the fact that now loot is plentiful, it just is giving me that feeling of that the game is already starting to feel a little bit better. So in today's video, I want to have a real conversation about PoE 2 and where I think this game is heading. This is not another rant about what's broken or a blind defense of grinding gear games. This is me saying, despite all the missteps, all the frustrations, and all the players who have logged off for what might be the last time, I think they're going to come back. Not all of them, but a significant number. And I think it's going to start happening as we continue to get more updates and more content, major content drops that are scheduled to come in early access of Path of Exile 2. So in this video, let's talk about why I think players are slowly going to come back in droves. When Path of Exile 2 launched into early access, the potential was obvious. The amount of players that gravitated to the game, earth-shattering. The endgame looked amazing, animations were smooth, and the combat felt weighty. But the foundation, oh boy, was it shaky. And after about 3 to 4 weeks, there was an immediate sense that grinding gear games had leaned way too hard into the difficulty. One-shot mechanics were punishing, campaign bosses were overturned, progression was stop-start, and for many, frustrating. And loot, forget it. Until patch 0.20G, you could count your upgrades per act on one hand. Then there was the endgame, or rather the idea of the endgame. Corrupted nexuses felt underwhelming, hard to find, and not satisfying to complete. Players were pushing through waystone tiers faster than they could complete the mechanics the game required them to finish. It was disjointed. It didn't feel ready. And to that, a lack of meaningful crafting systems, anemic itemization, and what many are calling the illusion of build diversity. And you had a recipe for disappointment. Let's not pretend the community didn't respond. Forums lit up, Reddit exploded, longtime fans and streamers were openly questioning the direction of the game, and honestly, they had every right to. Here's where things get interesting. GGG has been listening. Patch 0.2.0G was a huge pivot. That patch didn't just bring buff drops, it redefined the conversation, in my humble opinion. Bosses now have a minimum loot quality floor. As Myriad Wisps are finally rewarding, campaign progression feels like it's moving again. For the first time since launch, players are starting to feel like their time is respected. And yes, while not still perfect, that single patch did more for the community morale than any dev manifesto could have. So the question becomes, is this just a reactionary band-aid or the beginning of a new trajectory? My prediction is the start of something bigger. Grinding Gear Games is known for overcorrecting slowly, but what we're seeing now is a shift, not just in the game mechanics, but in the philosophy. Jonathan historically leaned into the less is more ideology when it comes to loot. They want gear to be meaningful, not plentiful. But somehow along the line, that philosophy was taken to such an extreme that loot became scarce and meaningless. And we've discussed this in other videos. Patch G is their first real admission that something had to give. And now, for the first time in months, I'm seeing excitement in the community again. People are experimenting. Hardcore players are returning. The crafting systems are getting more use. Not because they've changed, but because people finally have loot worth investing in. I don't think GGG is abandoning their core vision. I think they're learning how to adapt to the reality. So why do I think players are going to come back as we continue to get these updates and as we get closer to the next major content drop, point 3? Because in my humble opinion, Grinding Gear Games is building momentum slowly, methodically, and most importantly, publicly. In ARPGs, momentum matters. When the game feels like it's listening, people give it another shot. When content starts to feel rewarding, players log back in. And when meaningful updates land, word spreads fast. Yes, there are still big issues. Endgame's a mess. There's not enough build diversity. Crafting is what crafting is right now. These are real problems, but they're also solvable ones. GGG has a 10 plus year track record of delivering on long-term timelines. They play the long game. And while PoE 2's early access has been very turbulent, I believe these updates and major content drops could be their next major course correction. And that's gonna pull people back in, especially if the next major content drop, point 3, addresses build diversity, crafting, brings in new skills, a new class, or ascendancy mechanics, and further evolves the endgame loop. That's when you're going to see a return wave. The verdict isn't in yet, not even close. But what 0.20G shows us is that Grinding Gear Games can change course when the community pushes back. And when they do, the results are meaningful. The patch has already changed the way players interact with the game. Loot is better. Content feels more accessible. And for the first time in a while, it feels fun again. Not perfect, not fixed, but fun. This isn't just about loot, it's about direction. If 0.3 continues this trend down the road, if we see systems refined, more player feedback incorporated, and mechanics that empower instead of punish, then PoE 2 isn't just going to survive, it's going to thrive. In my humble opinion, I believe players are slowly going to come back because for all its flaws, PoE 2 is still a game with an enormous amount of potential. And if GGG keeps taking feedback seriously, we're going to see that potential fulfilled. So, what do you think? Are you coming back? Are you waiting for the next content drop? Or are you done? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe for more PoE2 updates, deep dives, and coverage. I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.